this is CY. Tonight we're gonna do a second night of coffee roasting. Today we're gonna do it slightly differently. We're gonna use the Artisan to Bluetooth connect to my Kaleido M10 Sniper Pro, and I'm gonna record the roasting profile so that I can actually use the profile for my future roast if I find that the roast profile that I've done is actually pretty okay. The plan for today will be I'll be trying to do 3 to 4 batches of coffee roasting, and I will try to do a slightly different origin as compared to yesterday. Tomorrow I'll be handing over the first batch of roasted coffee to the Singapore Coffee Association. So I have to get most of the coffee, half of the batch roasted by today. So that's what I plan to do today. So this is CY. If you have not subscribed to my channel, right, make sure you do subscribe and like my videos if you find that my video is of interest to you. Stay tuned. So let's get started on the roasting. Okay, so this is my coffee roasting corner. The batch of coffee beans we're going to roast today is actually lot 34, and I'll be loading 1 kg of coffee beans. And right now, this batch of coffee is actually from Colombia. The farm is actually from La Virginia. The origin is actually from Santander and Chino. I hope I got the pronunciation correct. The processing method is washed. Soil condition is volcanic. The plantation scale is actually pretty small. It's only about 4 hectares. It is actually 1,620 meters above sea level, which is considered as high altitude. The cupping score is actually 87, so it is pretty high. And the cupping notes is fruity, apricots, raspberry, grape note, citric, and acidity. A round body. So this is going to be a very floral kind of tasting notes. However, we are going to roast it to espresso, which means the espresso is probably going to taste very fruity and towards the acidic side. However, I will keep some of these coffee beans, a small portion of it, and I'll roast it slightly differently from the espresso roast. I'll do a medium roast as well as a light roast for filtered coffee, right? But for the Singapore Coffee Association, I'll be roasting all the espresso roast for that. So let's get started. First, we'll be heating up the roaster. Right now, the roaster is actually cold, right? As you can see from the monitor, right? The temperature is only about 26 degrees Celsius. This is our ambient temperature. So since this coffee bean is actually from 1,620 meters above sea level, so I'm going to increase the charge temperature to about 185, and I'll start the drum about 80%, right? And after that, I'll start to heat up 100% heating power, and we'll just wait for a while for the roaster to get heated up. Okay, let me shift my laptop around so they can see all the different charts, so they can have a better view of my roaster as well as my laptop at the same time. I will be switching on over to the Artisan. So right now you can see that my Artisan is already connected to my Bluetooth device. I will not be able to roast from the control of my laptop for today because I didn't switch my roaster to the auto roast function. So right now I'm still going to use a manual mode. However, I can still record the roast profile on the Artisan via Bluetooth. So that's really one very good advantage of the Kaleido M10 Sniper Pro, right? The same thing can be done on the M2 Sniper as well. As long as you get a Pro version, right, you can actually output your data to Artisan and being able to record it. Right, as you speak, I will also try to measure out the coffee beans. Because this is the first batch of coffee, so I will not be using the coffee from the Singapore Coffee Association, right? Because I need to warm up the coffee roaster, so I will probably use my own coffee bean to warm up the machine. Let me see what I have at hand. This batch I'll be roasting a coffee bean from Honduras, from the region Caballeros, Las Lomas. So this is about 200 grams. Right, this is the coffee bean I get locally. Okay, right now the roaster has reached about 173 degrees Celsius. Right, you can see that on my Artisan there's nothing yet because I have not started the recording. And you can see on the laptop it has already shown about 170 degrees Celsius on the exhaust temperature and about 172 degrees Celsius on the bean temperature. Right, the change in bean temperature is actually the same as the rate of roast. So I should be able to relate to both screens right now. Alright, the roaster has now reached about 181. When I charge the temperature, I'll be referring to the air temperature rather than the bean temperature. So I'll be looking at my air temperature. Right, as long as my air temperature reach about steady states about 185, I'll start to charge the beans. If you can, right, because this is my first batch of roast, when the machine is cold, that means there's a cold start, it will be better for you to wait for a little while for your roaster to reach a steady temperature, so that your bean temperature and your air temperature should be around the same, and they'll be better. Right now my bean temperature is higher than the air temperature, so however it's still fluctuating up and down, right, but it should be getting closer and closer. Yep, you can see that it's getting closer now. Okay, right now I'll reset my curve and I'll start. Right, so you can see my Artisan has started recording, and I'm going to start the time as well. And remember, I'm going to soak it, so I'm going to close the Alright, let's wait for 1 minute. I have forgotten to record the charge temperature on my Artisan. By right, when I charge the beans, I should press charge so that the Artisan can record my charging temperature. So these are all incident or events, right? So you should add the events so that your Artisan will show you whichever changes you make to the roast. Okay, right now he has reached about 1 minute, so I'm going to increase the heat to 40%. So event, I'll put event. I've accidentally pressed twice. So once I switch on the heating power, you can see that the red color, which is actually the exhaust temperature, will be starting to climb, and my bean temperature will also start to climb. Normally, from my observation, first crack will usually happen when the bean temperature intersect with the exhaust temperature. can see the beans, right, is turning slightly yellow. It has reached about 150 degrees Celsius. RR is a bit too fast, so again I'm going to reduce, I'm going to discharge. So again I'm going to press event, discharge at 40%. I want to bring down the heating power, and at the same time I'll also be reducing the heat to 30%. Right, I'm still getting used to the recording and the routine of recording on the Artisan. Right, you can see the bean has already totally turned brown. Right, so please pardon me, the first crack actually happened at about 177 degrees Celsius. So this is a bit early. So right now it's about 4 minutes only. I'll be doing a lighter roast on this, so I'll be dropping it. Let me close the hatch. I will not be recording this because this is not a very good recording, because I didn't really input all the data that I need. Just to let you see the condition of the roast. Right, so the cooling fan is really very loud. So you can see in this testing, right, I make quite a lot of mistakes in trying to do too many things at one time. So this is a workflow that you have to get used to when you start to try to use Artisan to record. And the reason why I think there's a lot of workflow to be corrected, because at the same time I'm trying to control over on the manual side, and at the same time I have to record all the changes on my Artisan. So this is kind of a challenge, but I will try on the next rows. My focus will still be on the manual rows, so the Artisan is just a practice for me. Okay, let's get this. Okay, so now the machine has been nicely warmed up. So right now we can get into what we want to roast today, which is the beans from Colombia. Right, so this one is quite heavy. It's supposed to be about 1.4 kg. Right, that's about 1.6 actually. So I'm going to try to do about 1 kg this time. Right, so let's measure about 1 kg. Alright, that's exactly 1 kg. So right now, as you can see that before the beans is roasted, you only have about half filled. Later you'll see that the entire cooling tray will be totally filled with coffee beans. Okay, so right now let me reset all the curve and change the heating power to 100. Let the machine warm up again. Reset the curve, reset the time. Right, I'll wait for the temperature to rise up, especially the bean temperature. So this first roasting will be slightly longer than usual, because the first stage is always to warm up the machine. Either you can let the machine warm up by itself, just leave it alone for about 30 minutes, or you can just throw a batch of coffee beans inside and roast as the first batch. So normally this is what I do. I'll just roast the first batch of coffee, maybe about 200 grams on the M10 Sniper Pro. Okay, let's on the Artisan.